He who conquers himself conquers the world. Discipline is the silent crown worn by those who no longer need approval. He who rules himself rules the world. These are not just quotes. They are thunder in the soul. They are the kind of words that split the silence between what you are and what you were meant to be. Listen closely, because this right here is not motivation, it is resurrection. You are so precious for being here. The fact that you clicked and chose to stay means you are searching, not for noise, not for distraction, but for truth. And that hunger is sacred. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is not just knowledge, it's life. Life for your soul, strength for your spirit, and peace for your mind. Please subscribe, like, and share this message so that others, just as precious as you, may also find this light. Now, breathe deeply. Let the world fade for a moment, because what I'm about to tell you could rebuild an empire inside your heart. We live in a time where silence has become a stranger, a generation that worships noise, scrolling, rushing, comparing, as if chaos were proof of meaning. But listen, meaning does not scream, it whispers. It waits in the quiet corners of your soul, waiting for you to remember how to listen again. And you are different. You are the quiet few, the ones who still pause before reacting, who still believe that peace is power, and that discipline is divine. This is not about success or fame or applause. This is about mastery, the kind that begins unseen, in the dark room of your thoughts, where no one is watching but God. Because when you conquer yourself, you don't need to conquer anyone else. When you master your emotions, you become unshakable. And that, my friend, is where real power begins. Even here, in the heart of America, the land that once echoed with freedom and faith, we've traded reflection for reaction. We've confused attention with purpose. We've forgotten that stillness is the foundation of strength. We have skyscrapers that touch the clouds, but minds that cannot sit still for 10 seconds. We have freedom on paper, but bondage in the soul. But not you, because something inside you refuses to stay asleep. You feel it, don't you? That quiet war between who you are and who you are meant to become. And you win that war, not by shouting louder than the world, but by becoming quieter than your fear. That's where your transformation begins. That's where greatness hides. When the founders signed their names on the Declaration, they had no guarantees, only conviction, only fire, only stillness inside that whispered, even if the world burns, I will not. That same fire lives in you, the courage to walk alone, the wisdom to be misunderstood, and the discipline to stay silent when everyone else is screaming. You are not here to blend in. You are here to become. So let these next words sink into your bones. Stop chasing the world. Stop begging to be seen. Focus on yourself, not out of pride, but out of purpose. Because when you focus inward, you shift the universe. You heal what others broke. You calm what others stirred. The noise outside you loses power the moment your silence becomes louder. When you stop trying to control what's around you and start mastering what's within you, that's when everything begins to fall into order. Opportunities rise like morning light. Peace finds its home in you, and suddenly life bends toward your calm. You cannot heal the world if you have not healed your heart. You cannot calm the storm if you are the storm. But when you finally sit still, when you finally choose discipline over chaos, you discover what America once knew, that freedom is not the absence of chains, but the presence of order. Freedom begins in the mind. Peace begins in the soul. And when those two unite, you become unstoppable. So tonight or tomorrow morning when you wake, before you open your phone, sit in silence. Listen to your breath. Feel your pulse. Hear that still, sacred rhythm whisper, I am here, I am becoming, because you are not behind, you are being built, you are not lost, you are being led, you are not forgotten, you are being refined. Every quiet moment you choose peace over panic, you are rewriting your destiny. Every time you hold your tongue when anger rises, you are building an empire within. Every second you stay faithful to the process, you are shaping eternity in silence. You are the calm this chaotic world is craving. You are the quiet strength in a century of noise. You are the proof that stillness is not weakness, it is sovereignty. And if you can master yourself, then nothing outside you will ever rule you again. So breathe, and remember this. He who conquers himself conquers the world. Discipline is the silent crown worn by those who no longer need approval. And that world, my friend, begins within you. In focus, in peace, in silence. The stillness before the storm. America was built on noise, the hammer against steel, the ringing of liberty's bell echoing across the colonies, the marching drums of men who believed that freedom was worth their final breath. Every heartbeat of this nation began in the roar of purpose. But somewhere between freedom and distraction, between courage and comfort, the people forgot the sacred art of stillness. You scroll, you rush, you chase shadows, calling them dreams. You measure your worth in the eyes of others, forgetting that the greatest victory you could ever win is the one within. And deep within you, beneath the layers of noise, beneath the static of modern life, there is a quiet voice, a voice steady as the tide, a rhythm older than time itself, whispering, focus on yourself. Not because the world doesn't matter, but because you are the world. And until you master your inner state, you will always be a servant to outer storms. The Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth, yet he spent every dawn in silence, writing not decrees for his soldiers, but reminders for his soul. He said, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. America needs that same retreat again. Not the escape of apathy, but the return to clarity. Because the greatest danger to any free nation is not invasion, it is distraction. When the founding fathers sat in that candlelit hall, their hands trembling over parchment, signing their names beneath the word independence, they weren't only declaring freedom from kings, they were declaring freedom from fear, freedom from control, freedom from the inner chains that make a man doubt his own worth. That same freedom is calling to you now. Freedom from comparison, freedom from noise, freedom from needing anyone's permission to be at peace. Breathe, just breathe. Because peace is not a prize, it's a practice. Stillness is not weakness, it's war. And the calmest minds often carry the loudest victories. Look around you. Every empire that forgot stillness collapsed. Every soul that lost discipline broke. But those who learned to hold their ground, who learned to stand in the storm without shaking, became legends. Stillness is the root of all power. It is the unseen backbone of the warrior,
the poet,
the builder, the believer, the farmer who wakes before dawn, the soldier who prays before battle, the mother who whispers faith into her children. Each one carries that same sacred stillness, the quiet strength that says, no matter what happens outside me, I will hold what is inside me. That is freedom. That is what America was built on. Not wealth, not noise, but the steady fire of individuals who chose focus over frenzy. You see, the storms of life will come. They always do. But your stillness is the eye of that storm. It's where the winds die down, where your soul remembers its shape, where your purpose finds its voice again. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you win. Every time you choose reflection over revenge, you win. Every time you choose patience over panic, you rise above the world, not because you escape it, but because you finally understand it. Focus on yourself. That is not selfishness. That is stewardship. The same way a soldier sharpens his sword before battle, you must sharpen your mind before the day. Because the battlefield is no longer outside. It's in your focus, your emotions, your attention. Your calm is your revolution. Your focus is your flag. Your discipline is your declaration of independence. So when the world screams at you to rush, to post, to prove, choose the opposite. Choose the stillness. Because the world has enough noise. It needs your peace. When you master your inner calm, you become untouchable. When you no longer need to be understood, you become unstoppable. The storms will keep coming, but you will no longer fear the rain, because you have built your foundation, not on applause, but on purpose. And that is how empires are born. That is how they endure. So tonight, or tomorrow morning when you open your eyes, before you reach for your phone, before you reach for the world, reach for yourself. Breathe in your own silence, feel your own pulse, and remind yourself that you are the calm before every storm, the stillness before every victory, the peace before every revolution. And from this day forward, let the world chase the noise. You will guard the silence, because that silence is where God speaks, and where great nations are reborn. The empire within. In America, they build skyscrapers that kiss the clouds, steel and glass rising high into the heavens, symbols of ambition, innovation, and strength. But the greatest empire is not built from metal. It's built from mastery, from the invisible discipline of the soul. Every quiet morning you choose to rise early, that's a cornerstone. Every temptation you overcome, that's a wall. Every no you whisper to distraction is another brick in your invisible kingdom. And one day when the storms of the world come, and they will, your house will not fall, because it was built on order, built not by chance, but by choice. This is the empire within, the unseen fortress of your character, the silent city of your peace. And here's the truth most forget. No nation can stand if its people crumble inside. No flag can wave if the hearts beneath it are weak. So before you fix the world, you must govern yourself. That's Stoicism. Not coldness, not distance, but fire under control. It's the soldier who prays before battle, the father who keeps calm when the world shakes, the mother who smiles through her pain so her children feel safe, the builder who stays steady when everything around him falls apart. That's power. That's discipline. That's America at its finest, not in politics or parades, but in the quiet hearts of those who never give up. Because freedom means nothing without focus, and faith means nothing without fight. The Stoics knew this long before the world was loud. Epictetus, born a slave, became freer than the kings of his age, because no one could chain his mind. No one could touch the empire within him. When you learn that kind of freedom, you become unshakable. You stop begging for peace and start being peace. Every challenge becomes training. Every hardship becomes discipline. Every failure becomes your teacher. So focus on yourself, not out of pride, but out of purpose. Because when your soul is calm, your vision clears. When your mind is disciplined, your power returns. And when you walk with peace, everything that once ran away from you starts to find you again. That's the secret kings know. That's the truth empires are built upon. America's founders didn't build a nation overnight. They built it brick by brick, principle by principle by principle, discipline by discipline. They argued, they prayed, They sacrificed, they endured, and when the smoke cleared, what stood was not just a country, but a testament to focus, order, and perseverance. Now ask yourself, what stands inside you? Are you building, or are you drifting? Are you mastering your days, or letting them slip away? Because the same power that built cities and carved history into stone lives in your chest right now. You just need to discipline it. Wake up earlier, speak slower, react less, work quietly, forgive quickly. Guard your focus as if it were gold, or because it is. Your focus is your fortune, and your discipline is the currency of peace. The Stoics called it the only true wealth, the kind that can't be stolen, taxed, or taken by war, because it lives inside you. It breathes in your silence. It grows in your patience. So while the world chases fame, you will chase wisdom. While they post for applause, you will rise for purpose. And while others fight for attention, you will fight for self-control. And when the noise fades, you will still be standing, calm, certain, unmoved, like a monument of peace in a world built on rush. Like the Statue of Liberty, not because she moves, but because she stands, and through her stillness, she speaks. That's what you become when you build the empire within. Because someday, the storms will come again. Life will shake. People will doubt. Everything external will fade. But your soul, steady, disciplined, and unwavering, will remain untouched. And that's when you'll realize you didn't just build a life. You built a kingdom. A kingdom where your peace rules like a president, and your discipline stands guard like a soldier. A kingdom where your silence carries more strength than 1,000 speeches. That's what happens when you stop trying to control the world and start mastering yourself. Because the only empire that never falls is the one built within. The American mirror. Look around, America. The noise has grown louder. The screens never sleep. Politics screams, the news spins, and somewhere in the middle of it all, the people are tired. But they don't know why. It's not because they're weak. It's because they've forgotten the art of silence, the sacred rhythm of stillness, the quiet dignity that once shaped the backbone of a nation. Because the greatest addiction of our age is distraction. You wake up and reach for your phone before your thoughts. You check the world before you check your soul. And you wonder why peace feels so far away. You can't pour truth into a shaking cup. You can't build peace in a trembling mind. And you cannot find yourself in a place that keeps pulling you away from yourself. So stop, step back, and rebuild your focus. The Stoics said that the unexamined life is chaos disguised as comfort. And look at us, chasing noise like it's nourishment. But no amount of noise can fill a silent hunger. The world teaches you to look outward. Stoicism teaches you to look inward, because everything begins in the mirror. Don't look at the next man's success. Don't measure yourself by his journey. Look at your reflection and ask, am I better than who I was yesterday? That's where the real freedom lives, because freedom was never just about land, or laws, or liberty. It was about mastery, the inner kind. You can live in the most powerful country in the world and still be a prisoner if you've lost your discipline, if you've traded silence for speed, if you've exchanged peace for performance. America calls itself the land of the free. But how free are we? If our minds are chained to screens and our souls are slaves to comparison, we scroll through lives that aren't ours. We measure our worth by applause that fades, and we forget that once this nation was built not on envy, but on endurance. The founders weren't scrolling through distractions. They were staring down destiny, focused, clear, anchored in the belief that liberty starts from within. That's the mirror you must look into. That's the reflection you must rebuild. Because when you return to your focus, you reclaim your freedom. And when you reclaim your freedom, you rise again, not as a follower of the world, but as the master of yourself. Piece by piece, moment by moment, choice by choice. That's how nations rise. That's how souls rebuild. The Stoics didn't have phones or fame, but they had presence. And presence is power. It's in the way you listen before speaking. It's in the way you breathe before reacting. It's in the way you forgive before the bitterness hardens. It's in the way you look into the mirror and decide to begin again. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you reclaim your crown. Every time you pause instead of argue, you rebuild your kingdom. And every time you let go of what you can't control, you expand the empire within you. America doesn't need more noise. It needs more masters of peace. People who walk slowly, who speak with weight, who live with discipline, and who prove, through their calm, that greatness has never been about how loud you can shout, but how deeply you can listen. Look into your reflection right now. Really look, not at your flaws, not at your failures. Look into the eyes of someone who has survived storms, downs, that would have broken others. You are still here, still standing, still breathing. That means there's purpose left in you. The world doesn't owe you clarity. You must carve it from the chaos. And that begins when you stand before your reflection and whisper, "No more running, no more noise, I choose peace." Because discipline is freedom. Focus is strength. And silence. Silence is your greatest weapon. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't have to chase validation. You just have to return to yourself. Because when you do, when you begin to master your reactions, your time, your thoughts, the whole world begins to bend toward your stillness. That's when everything starts falling into order. Not because the world finally made sense, but because you did. When your inner empire stands firm, no storm can shake it. No opinion can move it. No failure can define it. Because the mirror no longer lies. It reflects peace. It reflects purpose. It reflects the quiet power of someone who finally came home to themselves. Look around America. The noise will fade. The trends will change. But the soul that is still, the heart that is focused, that's eternal. And that's where your real freedom has been waiting, all along. The kingdom of one, the Stoics taught, man conquers the world by conquering himself. That's how Rome rose. That's how America rose. And that's how you will rise. Not through noise, not through arguments, but through quiet power, because every empire that has ever stood tall was first built inside the human heart. Before steel touched stone, a vision lived inside a soul, and that soul refused to bow to distraction. You too are building an empire, not with marble, but with moments, not with armies, but with awareness, and not with gold, but with grace. Every time you focus on yourself, you draw strength from the eternal. You step out of chaos and into command. You begin to see clearly how the world bends itself to the will of those who are still. America became great because men and women once believed that self-mastery was the foundation of freedom. They woke before dawn. They worked through pain. They spoke little, but every word carried the weight of mountains. They didn't seek comfort. They sought clarity. They didn't seek followers. They sought focus. And that's what you must seek now. Because in a world screaming for attention, the one who listens deeply becomes the rarest soul alive. Look at yourself, not with judgment, but with reverence. You've survived storms others could not stand in. You've walked through nights that would have broken the strong. You are still here, and that means there is a fire inside you that no man can put out. Discipline is not punishment. It is a declaration. It is saying, I refuse to be moved by things that do not move me forward. When you wake early, you are crowning yourself with order. When you choose patience over reaction, you are building a throne no one can touch. When you remain calm while the world burns with anger, you are wearing invisible armor. That is the kingdom of one. It is the kingdom of those who no longer chase because they attract. It is the kingdom of those who no longer argue because truth defends itself. It is the kingdom of those who no longer beg for peace because they embody it. You must understand, the world will never give you silence freely. It will sell you noise. It will feed you opinions. It will drown you in urgency. And yet, the wise man smiles. He steps aside. He lets the noise burn itself out. Because he knows, only silence survives the storm. Every king in history had to learn this lesson. Alexander learned it too late. Caesar learned it in betrayal. But the Stoics, they built thrones that no sword could cut. Thrones of mind. Thrones of spirit. So today, America, build yours. Not of concrete and gold, but of truth and focus. Let your peace be your rebellion. Let your order be your revolution. Let your stillness be the message that moves nations. Don't wait for validation. Don't wait for applause. Even God creates in silence. He doesn't announce the sunrise. He simply lets it appear. He doesn't explain the ocean. He lets it speak in waves. Be like that. Let your results speak louder than your words. Let your peace make others wonder what power sustains you. Because it is in that quiet mastery that greatness hides. Discipline your peace. Guard your heart like a fortress. And soon, the world will start to rearrange itself around your stillness. You'll notice how opportunities appear like birds drawn to calm waters. You'll notice how people who once ignored you start to listen when you no longer seek to be heard. You'll notice how what once seemed chaotic begins to move in harmony with your rhythm. That's not coincidence. That's command. That's divine alignment. That's the law of the inner empire. Because when you master yourself, the world bows. Not in fear, but in recognition. It sees in you what it has forgotten in itself. The same spirit that built America. The same will that raised Rome. The same fire that lit the path for every great soul that ever dared to walk alone. That fire is in you, waiting, silent, unshaken. Feed it with focus. Protect it with discipline. Honor it with peace. Because when you rise, not through noise, not through rage, but through quiet strength, you remind the world what true power looks like. And that's when you realize the power was never out there. It was always you. He who conquers himself conquers the world. Now go and rule the kingdom within, with stillness, with strength, with soul. Please subscribe, like and share this message so that others may rise with you in silence, in focus, in freedom. The new declaration. So write this truth upon your heart, as America once wrote its declaration upon parchment and flame. The ink of their courage changed the destiny of nations. Your courage right now can change the destiny of your soul. Because freedom is not just written on paper, it is written in discipline, in silence, in focus. Focus on yourself, not in selfishness, but in sacred responsibility. You are the steward of your own destiny. You are the guardian of your own peace. You are the founding father of your own inner nation. Every great republic begins within. Before laws were made, before borders were drawn, there was a single idea. That man was meant to be free. Free from tyranny. Free from fear. Free from the voices that tell him he is not enough. So here and now, let this be your declaration. Sign it not with ink, but with intention. Etch it not on parchment, but into the depths of your being. Say it softly within. I will no longer be ruled by chaos. I will no longer be enslaved by noise. I will rise through focus, through peace, through silence. Because the revolution the world needs now is not one fought in the streets, but one fought in the soul. The world has enough noise. It needs order. It needs quiet strength. It needs people who walk in stillness and yet move mountains with calm hearts. Discipline your peace. Guard your inner empire. Because every choice you make is another stone laid in the foundation of your eternity. You've been told to chase what glitters, to compare, to compete, to prove. But the truth is, the most powerful people in history did not chase. They became the standard. They became the calm others depended on. They became the voice of reason in the storm. And so can you. America rose not because it was perfect, but because it believed. Because men stood in silence, signed their names beneath firelight, and said, "We will be free. You must do the same." But this time, the kingdom is within. Focus on yourself. Discipline your peace. Guard your inner empire. And you will watch with quiet awe as everything around you begins to align. You'll see how order follows those who live intentionally, how peace follows those who stop chasing it, how success bends toward those who have mastered their emotions. You are not lost. You are being refined. You are not behind. You are being prepared. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt, stronger, quieter, wiser. So breathe, because every breath you take in peace is an act of rebellion against chaos. You are the calm this chaotic world is craving. You are the quiet victory in a generation of noise. You are the unshaken monument in a trembling age. You are enough, exactly as you are. Every empire that ever stood tall was built on discipline, and every human soul that ever rose above mediocrity was built on focus. This is your calling, not to fight the world, but to master yourself. So when you wake tomorrow, wake with intention. When you speak, speak with wisdom. When you rest, rest with gratitude. Because greatness doesn't shout. It whispers, it builds, it stands, and it endures. The founders had to believe the world could be reborn. You must believe that you can be reborn. The same fire that burned in 1776. It burns now within you. Not to destroy, but to define. Not to conquer others, but to conquer yourself. This is the new revolution. This is the new America within you. Please subscribe, like and share this message so that others may rise with you in stillness, in strength, in freedom. And when you finish watching this, don't rush back into the noise. Sit with it. Let it echo. Let it settle into your spirit. Because peace isn't found, it's built. Brick by brick, breath by breath, moment by moment. And as you walk through your days ahead, remember this: every time you choose focus over distraction, you are writing your own declaration of independence. Every time you choose peace over panic, you are securing your freedom. Every time you choose discipline over ease, you are signing your name in the Book of Kings. Your rise begins now. In focus, in peace, in silence. The world may not notice at first, but soon they will feel it. They will see the calm in your eyes, the steadiness in your words, the quiet confidence in your steps, and they will ask, "What changed?" You will smile and say, "Everything, because I did." That is the true revolution. That is the true freedom. He who rules himself rules the world. Now go and rule with silence, with stillness, with soul. Please subscribe, like and share this message so that others just like you may find their kingdom within. And may America rise again, one disciplined soul at a time.